Welcome to 31 Days of October, Week 2. You're all doomed. What's up, guys? Welcome to 31 Days of October, Week 2. If you missed Week 1, I had some great guests for Week 1, so I'll pop a card here. Be sure to check that out. But it's Week 2 time, and my special guests this week are going to be HorrorGal Susan and Spidergeek, and one more guest, Bluray Dan. Oh, I love their channel so much. They're so fun, they're so unique, and they just have a lot of pizzazz, you know? That's a good word for them. So, I got my list pulled up right here, got my letterboxd. So before we get into what I watched, we're gonna start it off with HorrorGal Susan. Matter of fact, she was a guest last year, and one of her movies was Chopping Mall. Never heard of that movie. So I actually bought the movie, and I plan on watching it this month. But, take it away, Susan.
Thanks, Lee. Hi, everybody. It's Susan, aka HorrorGal. And first and foremost, I want to say a huge, heartfelt thank you to Lee for including me in this year's 31 Days of October. I had a blast being included last year, and this year's no different. I've really had a great time watching everybody from week 1. So let's get into what I watched this week. So first I watched an independent film sequel, The Houses October Built 2. Basically, if you have not seen the first one, a band of people go and they visit all of these haunts across America, and strange things start to happen. And basically in this sequel, they're recovering from being kidnapped by the Blue Skeleton, which is basically an extreme haunt. And they were all kind of traumatized from it, and so they decide to kind of exorcise the demon from them of the fear of that by going back out on the road and visiting haunts, and then signs of the Blue Skeleton basically start to appear again. This film is directed by Bobby Rowe, and it stars Brandy Schaefer, Zach Andrews, and Mikey Rowe. And I do feel that if you have seen the first one, I do feel that this was a little bit of a step up from that first one. They're both kind of gritty, more independent style, raw footage on the road and visiting haunts. So I do feel that it is very appropriate for that Halloween vibe. And this one actually has a little bit of an even darker turn to it, and the use of some of the lighting was very useful in creating that kind of spooky atmosphere that you want in a good horror movie. And I do recommend it. I think it is a fun film. So the second film that I watched is going to be absolutely no surprise to anyone who has ever been to my channel before, and that is the classic 1978 John Carpenter's Halloween. And of course, this was directed by John Carpenter and stars Jamie Lee Curtis in her first starring role, and Donald Pleasence, who is an amazing Dr. Loomis. And basically, this is about true evil little Michael Myers, who kills his big sister and then comes back years later to kill babysitters / his sister. This is an amazing film. It is actually my very favorite horror movie. It is also one of my all-time favorite movies, period, for any genre. I definitely recommend this film to anyone and everyone, whether you just like Halloween, whether you like horror movies, whether you're just a cinephile in general. You need to have this movie in your collection. It is a classic. Nobody can beat Michael Myers, who is an unexplainable, true evil force. You can throw all these metaphors on it that you want or not, but it is amazing. And let's be honest, anybody who can chase you without running and then show up wherever you are, you gotta give some props to that, okay? Obviously, there's great kills in this film, and it shows minimal gore, but instills maximum fear. And so that's what I love about this movie the most. And of course, if you're not familiar, the score that John Carpenter did for this movie absolutely makes the movie. And I don't know anyone that doesn't hear the strains of the Halloween theme and immediately feel creeped out. And I think that to accomplish that musically, in my mind, is just as important and exciting as what he did cinematically, but the cinematography is amazing. So definitely check this one out. And the next movie that I watched was yet another John Carpenter classic, The Fog. And this one stars Tom Atkins, Jamie Lee Curtis again as a kind of sassy hitchhiker, and Adrienne Barbeau as a radio DJ. And this is about the town of Antonio Bay. Basically, the town is haunted by some murdered lepers whose gold was stolen. So you can take that wherever you want, but this is where we're at with this. Everyone thinks it's pirates. It's not pirates, it's lepers. Which is probably why they don't show their faces a lot, I'm just thinking. This has a lot, again, of great cinematography. The score, once again, John Carpenter really brings it with this score. It is probably my second favorite John Carpenter score behind Halloween. So it has a lot of really great aspects. Also, Janet Leigh is in this with Jamie Lee Curtis, which I think is amazing. Of course, then later they were also in Halloween H2O together. But I just really love that it's kind of that marriage of the mother Scream Queen and the daughter future Scream Queen coming together in this film as well. Hal Holbrook is great. Everybody is great in this, and even John Carpenter makes an appearance in the beginning of this film. Be sure to go to the Horror Cast, which is a podcast that I am one of the co-hosts of, and check out our Carpentober episodes where we review John Carpenter classics. The last film that I watched this week was yet another sequel in the amazing franchise that is Child's Play and Chucky, and this is Cult of Chucky. And this is the 7th installment. It is really a lot of fun. For those of you who have seen Curse of Chucky, this film does have similar lighting technique and a similar vibe to it as Curse of Chucky. Once again, this is directed by Don Mancini. This also brings back Brad Dourif as the voice of Chucky. It also brings back Fiona Dourif as Nika, and then also Alex Vincent, who is the original Andy, who did make an appearance at the end of Curse of Chucky, and of course Tiffany in Jennifer Tilly's Body, which brings new meaning to Jennifer's body. Anyway, in Cult of Chucky, we see that Nika has been transferred to basically an insane asylum in the middle of nowhere because everyone thinks she killed everyone instead of Chucky, and the fact that she keeps saying Chucky did it makes it even worse because they think she's crazy. And then we see Tiffany visit Nika and give her a Chucky doll, which of course sets in motion everything for the rest of the film. And in this film, it is a little bit different. The title is Cult of Chucky, so I'm not going to say that Chucky dabbled in some voodoo for dummies, but he did, and that's basically where this movie goes. And I love that the end of this movie is basically a huge setup for the next one. I can't wait for it. I hope that it happens sooner rather than later. I can't wait to see Jennifer Tilly have a bigger role in the next one. She really brings a lot of charm to the Child's Play franchise, and I just really hope that she has an even bigger role in the next film. I definitely do recommend Cult of Chucky. I will say this, you do need to make sure that you're paying attention because it is a little bit confusing, but it's a lot of fun. So keep that in mind when you watch it. And if you're a big fan of gore and unique, inventive kills, this film definitely has that, so you will have plenty of that. Well, that's about everything that I watched for this week. Thank you again, Lee, so much for including me. Thank you to everybody out there for watching, and happy Halloween early. Okay, back to you, Lee.
Next up, we got my good friend Spidergeek. Spidergeek, his videos are just top notch. You can tell that the guy puts so much effort into every video that he puts out. And they're really funny too. He's just a great guy, and he loves horror. And if you see the collection that this guy has of horror memorabilia, signed stuff, I mean, the guy just, I'm jealous. But anyway, take it away, Spidergeek.
Hey guys, what is up, and welcome to this very special 31 Days of October video. Before we get into this, I want to give a big shout out to Lee. Drumdums, you're watching his channel, you know that because you kind of run it already, so yeah. Okay, so because I watch a lot of horror movies, during the month of October I try and break it up into specific subgenres. So vampires, possessions, werewolves, you know, whatever. But during the first week I just kind of pull out a bunch of stuff and get stuck in, and normally it's like favourites and things like that. And this first movie has become one of my favourites to watch during the Halloween period, and it is House of the Devil. So House of the Devil, it's a 2009 movie directed by Ty West. It's about this girl called Samantha who's at university, college, and she's studying. She wants to move into a new apartment. She's a little bit broke, so she takes a babysitting job. starts noticing a lot of creepiness around the house, and you know, things start unfolding, and then I can't really tell you too much because it will spoil the movie, but it's very creepy and it's very eerie, and it's a definite throwback to the 70s and 80s. It's filmed in a style where you think you would be watching a film in that era. It's very kind of grainy, very shot well, you know, very shot well. Does that even make sense? I don't know, but the cinematography is very good anyway. And it's kind of, it's almost very reminiscent of John Carpenter's style of shooting, because you don't really see a lot until you've seen it, if you know what I mean. It's weird angles and stuff like that. It's very creepy. And yeah, it's about devil worship, and it's about satanic cults in that period, and you should watch it because it's awesome. So House of the Devil is my first pick. The Exorcist is my next pick, and this is a film that terrified me to my very soul when I was a kid, probably because I watched it when I was about 8 years old. But yeah, The Exorcist, it's one of them awesomely terrifying movies that still holds up today. It's about a young girl called Reagan who just basically gets possessed by the devil, and he makes her do some really nasty shit, and this film is gross and chilling, and it really makes you kind of question humanity almost. I don't know, it's a very weird feeling whenever I watch this film. Every time I watch it, and I watch it every year around Halloween, I always seem to notice more stuff about it. And I do recommend watching the extended cut. The director's cut has a lot of scenes in it that I think are very crucial to the explanation of the movie. In particular, there's one scene where the priests are discussing why she's been possessed. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but I think that scene's very important, and there's some other creepy shit in it that's very nasty. But yeah, The Exorcist, it's a chilling film. Check it out, it's awesome. Next up is a movie by my favourite director, and I try and watch all of his films during this period. I watch his films all the time because he is the horror master in my eyes, and it is John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness. And Prince of Darkness is one of the movies that I think always slip under the radar when people discuss Carpenter. They always bring up The Thing or Halloween or Escape from New York. Prince of Darkness is one that either a lot of people haven't heard of or haven't seen or just don't watch as much. But I think this is one of his strongest movies. It's one of the lower budget movies during a period when he wanted to do independent, fully controlled films. And it really shows in this movie because the cinematography, the direction, the sounds, everything in this movie is just spot on. And it really does show Carpenter's style of shooting during that period. And I love the premise of this movie. It's a kind of satanic, religious, scientific kind of film. It basically explores the possibilities of an anti-god. And, you know, God, anti-God, you know, the universe, atomic particles, it's just bonkers kind of when you think about it, but very rational at the same time. Highly recommend this film. Very creepy, very eerie, got a lot of cool practical effects in it. It's just awesome. Check it out. Next up is a movie that a lot of people either love or hate. You're kind of into it or you're not, and it is The Witch. And I'm really into this movie because I love creepy, eerie films that don't shout horror. You know, they're not like blood and gore everywhere, although I am into that stuff. I love that stuff, but there's a time and a place for that. This explores a different, you know, avenue of horror, and it is very suggestive and very atmospheric, and it's quite chilling, to be honest. I mean, there's some scenes in this that people don't think they're that graphic. I mean, they are quite graphic when you think about it, and the eeriness and the creepiness about it is just, yeah, that's what gets me about this film. It's very chilling in my eyes. It's basically a New England folktale. It's about this family. The father is kind of a preacher, or he's very biblical, and he's expressing his will on everybody. And they get kicked out of the plantation that they're living in, and they go to live in the New England forest. And yeah, basically there's a nearby witch, and there's some creepy shit going down, and people get fucked up. And am I allowed to swear on this channel? I don't know. But yeah, it's very creepy, and I highly recommend this film if you're into kind of, you know, films that don't scream horror. I think this is a very cool film. Very, very worthwhile watching. And the last film I picked to talk about is a 5-star horror film. It is one of the best examples of modern horror, and it is The Descent. And this is just a fantastic film. It has everything checked about it. You know, tension. I mean, this film is terrifying without the antagonist. The concept and the premise and the setting is terrifying enough without all this shit that goes down in it. So that's one reason to be scared of it. It's an all-female cast, which I like as well. Good female leads in this film, very good strong characters. But a group of girls that go cave diving, you know, rock climbing kind of thing underground. Can you rock climb underground? But yeah, they do that. They go underground. There's a lot of tension within the group. There's some personal issues. Everyone's kind of getting over some certain things. And then they come across this, I don't know what they are. They're like this group of humanized hybrid. Yeah, check this movie out because it's very cool. Got a lot of good action in it. Got a lot of tension. And I think it is one of the best horror films ever made. 5-star film for sure. There you go, guys. That was it. My 5 picks for the 31 days of October. Big shout out to Lee for having me on this channel. Big shout out to all the guys that are sharing this video with me. You're all awesome. And everyone that's involved in this series is awesome. Lee, you're awesome. And guys, you're awesome too. So thanks very much for watching. Keep it horror. And I'll catch you later. Bye.
Also, guys, I have a very special guest late to the party, my good friend Bluray Dan. I asked him if he would like to participate just because we've been such great friends for a long time, and he said he would. So thank you, Bluray Dan. And it's just more fun, more recommendations for you guys. So anyway, take it away, Dan.
What's going on, guys? I'm Danny, and thank you for checking out my channel, Bluray. This is Drumdums channel. I've already screwed this video up. How's everybody doing? It is an honor to be on the Drumdums channel. Before I get into anything else, I just want to straight up thank what's his name again? Lee, I want to thank you so much, dude, for just inviting me, for being a good friend on here and a good role model for people, and just for being you, man. Now that nonsense is out of the way, let's get to what this video is about. So, guys, just to give you guys a quick little insight on here. Number one, I'm Danny. I run the YouTube channel Bluray Dan, and a lot of people, my dog's barking. Cool, we're off to a great start. A lot of people know this about me, and I get criticized a lot about this, but I never grew up with horror, so a lot of the main horror movies are either foreign to me or fairly new, which you will see when I get to the portion where I show off the titles that I have not, or I plan to watch for the first time. But aside from that, let's get started to what I watched this week. It wasn't a big week of watches, but there's definitely a few that I watched that I'd love to talk to you guys about, some of my favorites. And to start this off right, as you guys can see right here on my chest, I am a big Cornetto Trilogy fan, and since it is, the Halloween horror season, it's not only a horror, it's a horror comedy, and it's one of my favorites. I watch this all the time, but I had to start off the Halloween season with, a horror comedy, to lighten the mood because I'm so scared. The first title that we have here, guys, is Shaun of the Dead. Now, this movie is directed by Edgar Wright, starring Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Funny enough, this is not my favorite in the trilogy. It might even be my least favorite in the trilogy, but that doesn't say anything about it. The movie it's so good. It just shows how strong the other ones are. Shaun of the Dead is so funny, and it mixes zombies, which I absolutely love, and Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. That's the best kind of mixture right there, guys. I don't know what that is. But there's something about this one that I'm able to watch all year round. The musical aspect to it is so comical. The wittiness of the characters and just the zombies, man. This one is it's such a great mix of both genres, and it was the perfect one for me to start off the Halloween season with. Now, the next one I'm going to talk to you guys about it's funny because it's an older film, but I saw it recently for the first time. I think last year sometime. That's right, guys. This is John Carpenter's The Thing, starring Kurt Russell. Now, there are so many things that I like about this one. Starting off with, Kurt Russell. The dude is the man. Kurt Russell has a beard in this. What more can you ask for, honestly? Now, what's great about this one is the type of horror movie that it is. It takes place in 1982, which is a great year, I guess. I wasn't born then. Sorry, Lee. I know you were. How old were you at that point? 55. Now, this movie right here, it takes place in 1982, and it's based around 12 researchers who are they're practically in the middle of nowhere. And what my favorite part is that it's a completely snowy setting, and I absolutely love that. I have such a thing for the snow. I would marry it if I had the chance. And wow, this is getting weird. So these guys are out in the middle of nowhere, and they dig up this frozen alien who is not so frozen anymore, and it's able to take the shape of anybody. anybody. So throughout the whole entire movie, you don't know who to trust, you don't know, you know, which way to turn, you don't know who to believe, and the best part about it is that it plays mind tricks on you. So you really do, like, even to this day, it still holds up because you're sitting there and you don't know, like, what's gonna happen. Or is this person gonna change? They're gonna jump at you? What's gonna happen? Another thing that makes this movie are the practical effects. The practical effects are so, like, weird but really cool at the same time. So I don't know, it's such a fun movie. Again, if you guys have not seen this one, I highly recommend it. You know, it's a classic, and yeah, I know I should have seen it earlier, but better late than never. Now guys, the next title that I'm going to talk to you about is the final horror movie that I watched this week, and it's actually my favorite one. Not just my favorite one, this is one of my favorite movies of all time, which is funny because it's also a snowy setting. And guys, this is 30 Days of Night. Now this movie is led by Josh Hartnett, who I'm a big fan of, and I think it's because of this movie, but also from The Faculty. That's another good movie. Now 30 Days of Night is a vampire story that takes place in Alaska. During this time, there's something with the stars, the moon, I don't know, something aligns, and there are 30 days of straight nighttime, which, I mean, obviously vampires, they can't go out in the day for the most part, so this is like the best spot and location for them. Now what I love most about this is that this is a terrifying, you know, realistic take in my opinion. If there were vampires in the world, I would think that they would go to a place like this and hunt people down. So throughout the whole entire movie, I mean, there are blizzards, and you got these vampires that are tracking through the snow, the way the blood looks on the snow, even the way that they attack people is just so crazy. They don't have those two fangs where they just bite into your neck and suck your blood or whatever. They have a full mouth of just sharp and jagged teeth, and they grab onto you and they just like shake their head like crazy until they kill the people. And one thing that they make clear in this movie is they don't want to turn anybody. And it's such a fun movie. The characters in this are great. The vampire kills are great. The tone, the quietness, which is another thing that you get with snowy movies, because in real life, if you think about it, when it snows, there's like an eerie silence out there. And I don't know, I've always held this one close to my heart. I saw this one in theaters many years ago, and it's so fun, and it's a movie that I could watch over and over and over again. But alright guys, those are the 3 horror movies that I watched this week, and now I want to go into and show you guys 2 titles that I have never seen that I'm probably going to be judged for. So to start this off, and man, I'm almost embarrassed to show you guys this, but to start this off guys, I plan on watching at least the first Nightmare on Elm Street. I know Freddy Krueger, I mean, I know of Freddy Krueger, I know him, I've hung out with him a few times, but I don't know what it is. I always, maybe growing up, I was never a fan of things haunting me in my nightmares. I don't know. Am I weird for that? But for whatever reason, I never got around to watching this, and I'm actually really excited to do so, just because I want to at least understand what everybody's talking about when they bring the topic up. Which brings me to the next one, and this right here is the final title that I'm going to show you guys. And yeah, it's another one that I should be ashamed of, and well, yes it is. Guys, I've never seen any of the Friday the 13th movies. I know, Jason, another classic kill. Guys, I'm sorry. This is another one that I just never got around to, and the funny thing is I've had both of these sets for like forever. I don't know, I feel guilty for never watching these, and I mean, you know, you guys should be envious of me, alright? I'm gonna get to experience this for the first time now. Well, you guys experienced this so long ago. This is my first time. I know, I'm trying to make myself, you know, feel better about everything that's happening, but no. Whatever, guys. Alright, I'm excited to watch it. You can judge me all you want, but that's it. That's good. Friday the 13th. But alright, guys, that's it for my little segment. I want to thank you so much for watching, and thank you, Lee, so much for having me on once again. This was super fun, and I'm honestly honored to be a part of it, so thank you very much, my friend.
All right, thank you so much, Spidergeek and HorrorGal Susan, and also thank you to Bluray Dan. Now we're going to talk about what I watched. I'm going to talk about 5 movies. First off, we did The X Murders of Villisca. First time I ever saw this. It was on Netflix. Going in, I'm a massive fan of the real life story. That's a weird way to fan. No, I'm not a fan of it, but it's just the case is so interesting. 1912, this guy, he's in an attic, and for no reason whatsoever, he just kills a family of 8. And it's just the most insane story because the guy was never caught. Unfortunately, this movie is a waste of time because they don't really tell that story. They put it in the modern day, and it's based on the events of that story. So it's these kids that are in the actual house, and they're curious and everything, and then all of a sudden havoc ensues when the spirits of the house inhabit them. And it's just cliche. It's like every other paranormal type horror film that we see. And I'm open to what they were gonna do with this, but it just didn't work, I think. So in the end, it was kind of a waste of time. And I'm hoping that one day they actually do the story justice, make it just really dark and serious, because I'd love to see that on the big screen. You know, treat it like they treated The Exorcist. Next up, I did a double feature. I actually did Annabelle, the first one, because I had seen Annabelle Creation, which we're going to talk about that one in a second. But Annabelle, I heard a lot of bad things about, and I saw Annabelle Creation first, and I really enjoyed that one. Annabelle, I didn't hate it as much as everybody, says. It had some good aspects to it. There were some really creepy scenes in it. I think my biggest problem was the actual main characters, the female and her husband. They should have gotten a different group of actors because I just wasn't invested in them at all. And that's why the other one works so well. You can put all this great scary stuff in a movie, but if you don't have great leads, great characters to back all that up, then it just doesn't work as well. And that brings us to Annabelle Creation. This movie, it was excellent. You had this group of kids, they're in this house, and this one's a prequel. It shows how Annabelle came to be. And I was completely invested from start to finish. They really took the time to build the relationships between these characters, and at the end of the movie, when all the shit hits the fan, it really hits the fan. It gets really creepy, it's crazy, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. Next up, a newer movie, Wish Upon. I saw that, and it's okay. It's nothing special, but it's one of those where you got this ancient box, and this girl, her father's a dumpster diver, and he brings the thing home, and then she gets all these wishes. And so she wishes for the wrong things, She wishes for some really horrible things, actually. And that's one problem I had with the movie. Going in, she knew the dangers of this box, but yet she still kept doing it, and it was hard to buy quite a bit of it. And then the last one I watched was The Loved Ones. I watched this one a few months ago, and I had to throw it on this list for you guys because this was one of the best horror movies I've seen in a while. It came out a few years ago. Sean Byrne directed it, who directed The Devil's Candy. And I loved The Devil's Candy, and I liked this one even more. Mainly because of Robin McLeavy, who played Lola. Instant horror icon. That's how effective she was. She's trying to get a prom date. Her father actually kidnaps this kid, and they torture him throughout the rest of the movie. And torture movies, they're a mixed bag. It's not really my genre. But this one just worked. It was so effective, so creepy, and it went places that I never thought it would. And I think I liked the whole prom aspect of it because this is how you do a prom horror movie. Not like the remake of Prom Night, which was horrible. This was not sugar-coated at all, even though it does have some sugar in it, but if you watch this, you'll get what I'm saying. It really just gets dark. All right, guys, that's it. That is my 5 picks for week 2. Be sure you go and check out HorrorGal Susan and Spidergeek's channels. You will thank me, I promise. They have such great content. And I thank them and all my guests that contributed and jumped in to help me with 31 Days of October 2017. So anyway, guys, it's your turn now. Post in the comments what you watched. Really looking forward to hearing it. And hopefully I'll find some gems that I've never heard of before. Also, be sure to become a member of Killer Flicks, where we're talking horror all day, every day, and we have an official 31 Days of October thread where everybody's posting all their updated lists. So it's really interactive. It's a lot of fun. Also follow me at Drumdums on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day, and Drumdum out.